We're in this series of David, the most famous king of the Old Testament. And David had a famous friend, Jonathan. And I want to put David's relationship with Jonathan just as a kind of a backdrop to answer this simple question. What do I need to look for in a friend? If you're feeling the isolation, or maybe experiencing the emotional or physical consequences or spiritual consequences of your isolation, you may be comfortable, but it can't last without community. So what should we look for? There's three things from the life of David. I'm going to tell you those three things. The first one is a friend sees you. I mean, the real you. David and Jonathan were two peas in a pod. They both had outrageous faith because instead of looking at the enemy, they were looking at their God. And I wonder if Jonathan on the sidelines, those days when Goliath kept coming out day after day and taunting the armies, Jonathan was as paralyzed as anyone else. And here comes a shepherd boy and says, he's nothing compared to God, let's go. And Jonathan, in the very next chapter, this is what Jonathan says about David. Jonathan became one in spirit with David, and he loved him as himself. Because they had the same dreams, and they had the same visions, the same passion got their blood boiling. The same visions got them up at night. Imagine Jonathan. I mean, he's the king's son. He is actually giving priority to David over himself. Do you have a friend that would do that for you? Do you have a friend who would sacrifice their own interest and advancement for yours? See, Jonathan, he loved the kingdom of God, not the throne of his father. It wasn't about sitting on a throne and having power and making himself great. It was about expanding in the eyes of the world, the God of Israel. And because David was a partner in that, it didn't matter who was in front, who was in back, side to side, front to back. It didn't matter for David or Jonathan. Do you have a friend like that who will prioritize you even over themselves? The second thing is a friend pays the price. It is costly to have a friendship like that. It costs you time, it costs you attention, it costs you vulnerability. Friendships they're costly. Of course, isolation will make you bankrupt, but friendship is costly. Are you willing to? Did you have a friend who would sacrifice for you? In 2 verses after it says Jonathan, David became one in heart. He loved him. It says this, and Jonathan made a covenant with David. That's odd language for friendship. We usually think of that like in a marriage, but how do you make a covenant with a friend? Well, here's how. Because he loved him as himself, Jonathan took off the robe he was wearing and gave it to David, along with his tunic and even his sword, his bow, and his belt. If you were to go back in time and watch this, you would see immediately what's happening. Jonathan makes a covenant by taking his robe. He was the king's son. He was the heir apparent, the prince of Israel. He took off his royal robe and put it on a shepherd boy. And everyone went, what? He's willing for David to sit on the throne because he doesn't care about a throne, he cares about a kingdom. And whoever's going to push the kingdom farther, that's who should sit on the throne. This third observation about friendship, a friend fosters your faith. You know, Jonathan and David did a lot of life together, but David also was in danger because of Saul. Jonathan's father looked at David's success and saw a threat. Jonathan looked at David's success and saw an opportunity to partner with him in life and in ministry. And here they are. Because of Saul's jealousy of David, he threw a spear at him, not once, twice. And actually, when Jonathan defended David later, Saul threw a spear at his own son. This is like a next level crazy. So David is on the run, and he goes to a little out-of-the-way place called Horesh. It's a hole in the wall. Saul is trying to find him. David does. And here's what happened when Jonathan finds David. It says Saul's son Jonathan went to David at Horesh and helped him find strength in God. Your best chance to find people who will point you back to Jesus is in a group. Now, I want to remind you that our word for the year, if you're new, maybe you've not heard it yet, our word for the year is resolve. And many of you had these ideas at the beginning of the year. This is the kind of person I'm going to be. Someday I'm going to join a group because I know I should. You resolve to do it, but you use the word resolve as a verb, not a noun. It's time to put a noun to it. It's not just what you say you're going to do. It's not what you imagine or dream you intend to do. No, you put your resolve in place as a noun, and you have the grit to do what you know that God is calling you to do.